Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a doll customization using Twyla to make a character that I've had an idea for a while, and I think he would be a great to add to my dollhouse. Now clearly Twyla is a female. This is a Gen 3 Twyla, but I think with some modifications we can turn her into a him. Also, fine little lore. So, let's get to it. So I think we should stand down the bus and see if that works. Dollightful has a video on how she turned Halloween into litten. And how she did it was she cut a V to keep the neck peg in place, cut down the center and sides to lengthen the torso and make it bulkier. I'll link her video down below. But given the chest articulation and I don't have a jeweler saw, we will do what we can. Hopefully it'll work. My boy will just have hips. This is what he is looking like. I removed the hair, gave him some horns, some ears. We're going to let this dry. It's just air dry clay. Once that's done, we'll paint his face and clean him up. I did not remove it with acetone as I do not have acetone. So I'll get to the shop, but I really want to do this right now. Body, I sanded down the chest so it's a little more flat. And I think it worked out pretty well. Also sanded the back a little since the wording was a little thick. But yeah, if you want to reduce the chest of a multi-doll, you just sand it down. Now I would use a fine grit, but I don't have any, so until I get some, this is what our boy looks like. This is what I have of our little teifling so far. Come on. Put the horns to help stabilize it. So the horns popped off because they need glue. Clay doesn't stick well to plastic because it doesn't have a rough texture enough to stick on. The ears are sticking on because of the pre-existing ears. So I might grab a fine grit sandpaper, sand it down a little because I only have a very thick one, like big grit. I don't remember what size it is. The chest I want to flatten a little more with a smaller grit to make it nice and smooth. I scratched up the body a little, so I want to try and even that out. And then I made a tail of amateur wire, which I'm going covered, and then paint the tip the same color as the smoke, because I do want it to be like a shadow tiefling, like he's a sorcerer of the shadows, so the shadows are just creeping up on him. So I drilled a hole in the lower back to fit the amateur wire, like that. I might need to make it a little bigger. No, sticks pretty well. And this is just two different wires stuck together, and then I think I bent it in half to give it extra strength. So it's still flexible, but it can actually hold pose with weight, which I want to see if it will be strong enough to hold like a little potion bar, because maybe he has a book in his tail when I do pictures. So next off, which thankfully the horns fell off so I can take off the face. I forgot to do that because I didn't have acetone, but I found some acetone, so we'll wipe off the face and we paint it. I do want to make him look a little tired. You know, if you're all-nighter, you get eye bags for days. I work night shift, so I know. And make him a little more masculine. This is what the doll is looking like. The pupils don't match. If I can get good lighting, you can see that they don't match. And then the tail is a completely different purple too, which I used fabric to cover it. And then this area I'm going to paint darker, like how the doll has on her hands with these shadow dark purple bits. I might go to the store and see if I can find a purple that matches more closely to his skin color, just so it looks a little better. So that is on the agenda. So this is what Orpheus is looking like. I think I am going to take off the lips. It's a little too dark, and I thought it would be this lighter color, so I think the second pass for the horns and ears, I'm going to mix a different color. I used this straight off the paint, and it's supposed to dry closer to the color of the hands, but clearly I misjudged. So we will repaint this, get the eyes going soon, and then I did make some yarn wefts. I just need to glue them down, and then we can give him some hair. And then for his tail, this is what it's looking like. I gotta do the mixture for the tip. As you can see, it's a spade basically. And then I gotta figure out a way to attach it. It's just some wire twisted together. I did like 4 wire. I did 2 different wires twisted together, folded in half to make it a little stronger for posability and to hopefully hold some things. I just need to figure out how to attach it. I do have a hole in the lower back for it. I just need to make sure it's big enough for this. But yeah, there's how Orpheus is going. So this is what the doll is looking like. I could have probably painted the face better, but I don't have the right type of brush and I'm impatient and impulsive. I painted the horns and ears to match the little shadows. It's a little different color, a little more pinkish. But it's the closest I can get. I also did that with the tail. Just the very tip to add a little something and tie it together. So now the last bit is to make the hair wefts, the clothing, and the accessories. And then the dolly should be done. So this is what Orpheus is looking like until I can get him some proper clothing. I'm wondering, what do y'all think he should wear? This is like my little D&D character, so if you have any ideas of D&D or modern, I will love to listen. I gave him a pair of jeans I made using Delightful's pattern, shadow high shoes, and a rainbow high top. He needs some hairstyling, but I think this is it for this video. And I hope that you liked, and if you have any suggestions, let me know.